let's talk money. This is something that people always ask me, is how much did your van cost? And the truth is, answer is, I don't really know. I didn't really pay too much attention to what I was spending on it. I had an amount that was available to me from my own savings, and the amount that I set aside did kind of disappear. I would hazard a guess and say that it's between 12 and 15,000 that I spent on this van, which does seem like quite a lot, but I've got a hell of a lot for it. The van itself was £5,250, of which I managed to sell the tailgate mechanism for £250. So let's say that the van cost £5,000. That was as an ambulance, as it was. Because of the weight of it, I had to redo my driver's licence to allow me to drive a heavier weight class. I could have just done the C1 licence, which would allow me up to 7.5 tonne, which is generally what people who drive horse boxes carry. So they have the C1 licence, but it's a little bit extra, and you can get a full C licence, which is an 18-tonne truck licence. So I've done the C licence due to the fact that it gives me more scope and more potential to use it later on to become a truck driver, earn a little bit of money while I'm out and about on the road, and you know, it's another string to your bow, and that was £1,500. So I do include redoing my licence as part of the build, because without it I wouldn't be able to drive the van, so it is a very crucial part of it. So immediately got up to £6,500, and that's just as a raw ambulance. It was bright yellow, it still had the lino floor in here. I'm going to try and cover this in a quite a logical way, so I'm going to do a few videos on this. I think the electrics is what I'm going to focus on today. The electrics are roughly, I would say, near about £2,000 for the electrics. Now, once again, that seems like a hell of a lot, but I've actually got quite a lot for that. The batteries, the battery bank that was on here, I had to replace all the batteries that were in there. They are £150 a time, and I've added 2 more batteries. So I'm now running a total of 550 amp hour on a 12 volt system, which when I speak to other van people, they're absolutely blown away by that, because they're running on like a 220 amp hour and they're surviving just fine. On the roof above me I have 1 solar panel, and then on the roof flap I have 2 more solar panels, and on the other side I have another solar panel. They're £100 a time. There's another £400 right there. The electrical system that was in here, we have managed to reuse quite a lot of that. So I've saved a little bit of money by using the original lighting. I've just run that via my own fuse box rather than through the system that was in here. I've got these lights as well. These lights weren't in here, but I've added those because it's just nice to light up the bed in the middle of the night when you hear something outside, or you need to get up to get a drink, rather than lighting up this whole thing. There's obviously a lot that goes into the electrics. So there's things like relays, there's the lights outside, there's the fuse boxes, the wiring, all the little attachments, the switches. Up here, just above the door, so you come in there, we've got the light switches for everything in here. This is the white light, and then there's blue lights. White light, blue light, ring light. Under the bed, we've got the main fuse board, or what I like to refer to as the main fuse board. We've got the relay clicker here. I'm using the torch on my phone. that's the relay for the big light bar on the front, and then it's also fused in there, and then that runs out to the outside. And of course, if you are going to build a camper van, you obviously have to have the LED strips. Although these aren't massively expensive, they are obviously a cost as well. My favourite bit about these lights in particular is that they also go through the floor. Let me just focus that. That's just a little groove in the floor that's backfilled with resin, and it just covers over the tops of the lights, and the lights still shine through it, which is nice. I have this little charge point underneath the cupboard with a little cap on it, and also I have a little charging point in there. A little bit of a mess in the cupboard, but essentially that's where I charge my laptop, my camera. I just generally charge everything that I need to charge in there. I think that's pretty much all of the electrical bits covered, other than the bits that kind of come into the plumbing, so like the water pump. I class that more as plumbing. The fridge is just, I'm still unsure whether or not to class the fridge as electricals. I mean, it's just general appliances, isn't it? But the next bit, it's going to be a tiny bit, is this. This is an Aberspasher digital controller. Now, luckily enough, this van came with an Aberspasher already fitted. It's pretty much a £1,000 unit, and all it needed to have done to it was to be wired up. It worked when I first got it, but it only worked when the engine was running, so it was on essentially just a different system. So I took out the system that was in here and rewired it to run off the leisure batteries, which enabled it to run when the engine wasn't running. But this little dial here is an upgrade from what it had, and this dial alone cost £100, which since then I have been out and bought another diesel heater, because I do kind of plan on running 2 diesel heaters in here, just one as a backup. I have managed to buy a whole diesel heater from Amazon for £100. So this dial actually costs just as much as a whole entire diesel heating system. But I'm still happy to have the Aberspasher in here because it came with the van. So it's essentially £1,000 that I've saved myself. Doesn't necessarily make it cheaper, but I think it makes it better value